The transport ship broke through the shimmer of the station's energy field, and Ji-woo pressed her face against the viewing port. The Celestial Academy hung in space like a jewel, its silver spires catching the light of twin suns. Ships from 100 different worlds docked at its ports. She had dreamed of this moment for years. Her fingers touched the silk scarf wrapped around her neck. The fabric was soft, a gift from her grandmother before she left Earth. Ji-woo never took it off. It reminded her of home, of the mountains in Korea where she used to hike, of simpler days before everything changed. "First time off Earth?" someone asked. Ji-woo turned to see another human, a girl with bright eyes and an eager smile. "I'm Mirai, engineering track." "You, Ji-woo?" "Combat and diplomacy," Mirai whistled. "Brave. I heard only 12 humans got accepted this cycle. We're basically unicorns here." The ship docked with a soft thud. Ji-woo grabbed her single bag and followed the crowd into the station proper. The main hall was massive, easily 300 meters across. Students of every imaginable species filled the space. Some walked on legs, others floated, and a few moved in ways Ji-woo couldn't quite understand. She felt the stares immediately. Conversations paused as aliens noticed the humans in their midst. The looks weren't friendly. They ranged from curious to dismissive to openly hostile. "Soft skins," someone muttered in Galactic Common. Ji-woo understood the language perfectly. All Academy students had translators implanted before arrival. A tall female approached. Her skin was deep blue and covered in natural armor plating. Her eyes were solid black, no iris or pupil. Behind her came 3 others of the same species, each one built like a warrior. "Humans," the female said, her voice carrying across the hall. "I am Yuna of the Dalthine hegemony, 3rd generation Academy legacy." She looked Ji-woo up and down. "Tell me, do all your kind hide behind cloth? Are you so fragile that you must cover yourselves?" Her companions laughed. Other students turned to watch. Ji-woo kept her expression neutral. "It's traditional clothing from my homeland." "Traditional?" Yuna smiled, showing too many teeth. "How quaint. Your planet has only just developed faster than light travel, yes? Most species achieved that 10,000 years ago. But please, tell us about your traditions." Mirai stepped forward. "Look, we're just here to learn like everyone else." The male Dalthine behind Yuna, massive and scarred, took a step forward. "Rock doesn't remember asking you to speak, human." Enough, a new voice cut through the tension. An insectoid being clicked its way between them. Its carapace gleamed like polished obsidian. "I am Instructor Valen. All of you will report to orientation in 10 minutes. Fighting before classes begin is a new record even for Dalthines." Yuna bowed slightly. "Of course, Instructor. We were simply welcoming the new students." "Welcome them silently," Valen said, his multifaceted eyes fixed on Ji-woo. "You, human, what is your name?" "Ji-woo, sir. Ji-woo. Your entrance scores were impressive. Do not waste your potential on petty conflicts." The instructor moved on, his legs clicking against the metal floor. Yuna leaned close as she passed. "Impressive scores mean nothing here, soft skin. Actual ability is what matters. We'll see how long you last." The orientation took place in a massive amphitheater. Thousands of students filled the seats. Ji-woo and Mirai found spots near the back. A holographic projection appeared at the center, showing the Academy's founder, an ancient being named Chancellor Vex. "Welcome," the hologram said. "You represent 847 species from across known space. Here you will learn combat, diplomacy, science, and the arts of civilization. Many of you come from powerful empires, others from small colonies. The Academy does not care about your origins, only your potential." The speech continued for an hour. Rules, regulations, class schedules. Ji-woo memorized everything. When it ended, students dispersed to find their assigned quarters. "We're roommates," Mirai said, checking her data pad. "Dorm 7, room 342, this is going to be great." Their room was small but functional. 2 beds, 2 desks, a shared bathroom. Ji-woo unpacked her few belongings while Mirai chattered about the different species she'd seen. "Did you notice the Silthine? They're made of living crystal. And those floating orbs? Those are Vorsians, pure energy beings. This place is incredible." A knock interrupted them. Ji-woo opened the door to find a human male standing there. He was tall with broad shoulders and kind eyes. "Ji-woo?" he asked. "Hyun." She pulled him into a hug. "I didn't know you'd be here. Got assigned as a 3rd-year mentor. They pair experienced students with 1st years. He looked her over. "You okay? I heard there was an incident at the docking bay." "I'm fine. Just some posturing. Yuna. Hyun's expression darkened. Stay away from her and her group. The Daltheens think they own this academy because their family has attended for generations. They don't like newcomers, especially humans. I can handle myself. I know you can. But choose your battles carefully. We're outnumbered here, Jiwoo. 12 humans among thousands. We have to be smart. After he left, Mirai flopped onto her bed. Your brother seems nice. Very protective. He raised me after our parents died. He's all I have. Jiwoo touched her scarf again, a habit when thinking of family. The next morning, combat simulations began. Instructor Valen led 40 students into a massive training arena. The floor could generate any environment, from zero gravity to underwater to volcanic landscapes. Today we assess your base abilities, Valen announced. Pair up 1 round each. The system will record your performance. Jiwoo found herself paired with Rock, Yuna's massive companion. He grinned down at her. Try not to break too easily, soft skin. The simulation began. Rock came at her like a boulder, all power and momentum. Jiwoo dodged the first strike, then the second. She tried a counterattack, but her punch glanced off his armored skin. He caught her arm and threw her across the arena. Pain exploded through Jiwoo's shoulder as she hit the ground. She forced herself up, but Rock was already there. Another hit, this time to her ribs, then another. The simulation ended when Jiwoo couldn't stand anymore. Medical drones appeared immediately, checking her injuries. Nothing broken, but she'd be bruised for days. Across the arena, Yuna laughed. Pathetic. And these creatures think they belong among the stars. Other students murmured agreement. Jiwoo felt the weight of their judgment. She limped off the training floor, Mirai rushing to help her. That wasn't fair, Mirai hissed. Rock is twice your size and his species has natural armor. Fair doesn't matter. Jiwoo watched the other matches. Every student was stronger, faster, or more naturally suited to combat than humans. We have to be better, not equal. The weeks that followed were brutal. In every class, Jiwoo faced the same prejudice. Instructors expected less from humans. Other students excluded them from study groups. Small acts of sabotage became common. Equipment malfunctioned at convenient times. Data pads mysteriously erased themselves. During sparring sessions, accidents happened with suspicious frequency. Jiwoo endured it all in silence. She studied twice as hard as anyone else. She trained in the gyms when others slept. She memorized every combat technique, every diplomatic protocol, every piece of galactic history. The scarf remained her constant companion. Other students mocked it, calling it a security blanket, proof that humans were weak and sentimental. Jiwoo never explained, never defended herself beyond what was necessary. One evening, she sat in the observation deck, looking out at the twin suns. Hyun found her there. You've been quiet lately, even more than usual. Just thinking. About whether Yuna is right. Maybe humans aren't ready for this. Maybe we're reaching too far too fast. Hyun sat beside her. You know what I think? I think they're scared. Scared? Of us? Of what we represent? We're new. We're different. We got here through determination. Not because we're naturally strong or have advanced technology. That terrifies them. Because if we can make it, it means all their advantages don't matter as much as they thought. Jiwoo smiled slightly. When did you become a philosopher? When my little sister started doubting herself. He stood. Don't let them break you, Jiwoo. You're stronger than you know. After he left, Jiwoo touched her scarf. Underneath the silk, against her skin, something warm pulsed once. A reminder, a promise soon, she thought. But not yet. The time wasn't right. She returned to her studies. The galaxy would wait a little longer to learn what humans really were. The ancient history classroom was different from the others. Where combat training rooms were stark and functional, this space felt sacred. Crystalline walls pulsed with soft light. The instructor, a being of pure energy named Kyle, floated at the front of the class. Today we discuss the Dragon Wars, Kyle said, his voice echoing like wind through canyons. 50,000 years ago, beings of immense power roamed the galaxy. We called them dragons, though they bore no resemblance to the creatures from your various mythologies. Jiwoo leaned forward. She had read about this in the Academy archives, but the official records were frustratingly vague. The dragons were guardians, Kale continued. A holographic image appeared, showing a massive serpentine form made of starlight. They chose civilizations to protect, to guide. They ended wars, stopped genocides, and maintained balance across known space. What happened to them? Asked Taemin, a shy human boy sitting near Jiwoo. He rarely spoke in class. They vanished. Some say they died. Others believe they simply moved beyond our dimension. The last confirmed sighting was 47,000 years ago. Kale's energy form dimmed slightly. They left behind only legends and mysteries. Yuna raised her hand. Myths for children. If these dragons were so powerful, why did they abandon us? The strong don't hide. They rule. Perhaps, Kale said softly, they were teaching a final lesson, that civilizations must stand on their own merit, not rely on eternal guardians. After class, Jiwoo walked with Taemin toward the cafeteria. He was one of the few students who treated humans normally. Do you believe in them? Taemin asked. The dragons? Jiwoo touched her scarf. Beneath it, warmth pulsed against her skin. I think the galaxy is stranger than we imagine. Who's to say what's real and what's myth? The cafeteria was packed during lunch. Thousands of students from hundreds of worlds gathered to eat and socialize. Jiwoo had learned to grab her food quickly and find a quiet corner. Humans weren't welcome at most tables. Today, that plan failed. As Jiwoo carried her tray toward an empty spot, someone's foot shot out. She stumbled, and her tray flew from her hands. Food splattered across the floor. Laughter erupted from a nearby table. Yuna stood, her black eyes gleaming with amusement. How clumsy. But what can we expect from a species that barely mastered gravity manipulation? Rock and two other Daltheens joined her, forming a circle around Jiwoo. Students from other tables turned to watch. This was entertainment. You've been here 2 months now, Yuna said, her voice carrying across the cafeteria. And in that time, you've proven exactly what we all suspected. Humans are weak, slow, inferior. Jiwoo stayed silent, bending to pick up her scattered food. Her hands didn't shake. She refused to give them that satisfaction. I'm talking to you, soft skin. Yuna kicked the tray away. In my culture, ignoring a superior is a grave insult. Then it's fortunate we're not in your culture, Jiwoo said quietly. We're in the academy where all species are supposed to be equal. The cafeteria went silent. Even the ambient noise of eating and conversation stopped. A human had just challenged a Daltheen directly. Yuna's expression hardened. Equal? You think you're equal to me? My family has produced warriors and leaders for 10 generations. My great-grandfather conquered 12 star systems. What has your family done? What has your entire species accomplished beyond barely escaping your own planet? Jiwoo stood slowly. She was a full head shorter than Yuna, but she met the alien's eyes without flinching. My family survived. In a galaxy that wanted us dead, we survived. That's accomplishment enough. Survived. Yuna laughed. Rats survive. Parasites survive. Is that what humans are? Parasites on the galactic stage? Something cold moved through Jiwoo's chest. Not anger, something older. Something patient. She forced it down. Mirai appeared at her side. Leave her alone, Yuna. This is childish. Childish? Rock stepped forward, looming over Mirai. Shall I show you what Daltheen children can do? Stand down. A new voice cut through the tension. Yunbi, a crystalline Siltheen, approached. She was one of the top students, respected across all social groups. This display dishonors the academy. Does it? Yuna turned to address the crowd. Or does it reveal an uncomfortable truth? Humanity was admitted here as an experiment. A test to see if inferior species could adapt to galactic society. Look at them. Weak bodies. No natural defenses. They wrap themselves in cloth because their own skin is too fragile. She reached out and grabbed Jiwoo's scarf. What are you hiding under here? Some deformity? Some weakness too shameful to show? Jiwoo caught Yuna's wrist. For a moment, their eyes locked. In that instant, Yuna felt something that made her hesitate. A flicker of power so vast it made her genetic memory scream warnings. Then it was gone. Jiwoo released her grip and stepped back. I challenge you, Yuna said suddenly. The cafeteria erupted in whispers. A formal duel. Academy law permits it. Single combat to submission or incapacitation. Do you accept, human? Taemin grabbed Jiwoo's arm. Don't, please, she'll kill you. I won't kill her, Yuna said. That would be against regulations. But I will break enough bones to send her back to Earth where she belongs. Jiwoo looked around the cafeteria. Hundreds of faces stared back. Some curious, some eager for violence, some sympathetic but silent. Not one stood to defend her except her fellow humans. This was the reality. In a galaxy of billions, humanity stood alone. I need to contact my brother, Jiwoo said quietly. You need permission from family? Yuna mocked. How primitive. No, I need to tell him goodbye. Because when this duel is over, one of us is leaving this academy forever. The temperature in the cafeteria dropped. Several students later swore they saw frost form on the windows, but when they looked again, everything was normal. I accept your challenge, Jiwoo said. Her voice was calm, too calm. But know this, Yuna, I didn't want this. None of it. I came here to learn, to prove that my people deserve a place among the stars. You've taken that choice from me. You always had a choice, Yuna replied. You could have stayed on your backward planet. That was your mistake. Jiwoo's hand moved to her scarf. For just a second, light pulsed beneath the silk, blue-white and ancient. No one else saw it. Or if they did, they dismissed it as a reflection from the overhead lights. The duel will take place in 3 days, Yuna announced. The Grand Arena. Let all species see what happens when lesser beings reach beyond their place. She turned and walked away, her followers trailing behind. The cafeteria slowly returned to normal. Conversations resumed. But everyone kept glancing at the small human girl standing alone in a pool of spilled food. Yunbi approached Jiwoo. I'm sorry. I should have done more. Why? Jiwoo asked simply. You barely know me. Defending humans gains you nothing and might cost you social standing. I don't blame you. That's precisely why I should have spoken louder. Yunbi's crystalline form chimed softly. Fear of social consequences is no excuse for moral cowardice. Jiwoo smiled, the first genuine smile in weeks. Thank you. That means more than you know. That night, Hyun burst into Jiwoo's room. Have you lost your mind? Yuna has trained her entire life for combat. She's beaten students twice her size. You'll be killed. I won't be killed. Academy law. Academy law is enforced by people who don't care if a human gets crippled. Hyun's hands shook. Jiwoo, please, forfeit. We'll request a transfer to another station. Anything but this. Jiwoo took his hands in hers. Hyun, brother, listen to me. Trust me. Please, I know what I'm doing. How can you possibly know that? She couldn't tell him, not yet. Instead, she pulled him into a hug. Because some things are bigger than one person's safety. This duel, it's not about me anymore. It's about every human who comes after us. If I run now, we'll always be seen as cowards, as lesser. I can't let that happen. You're scaring me. I know, but in 3 days you'll understand. And Hyun, she looked up at him. No matter what happens in that arena, know that I love you. You raised me when you were barely more than a child yourself. Everything good in me comes from you. He left eventually, still pleading. But Jiwoo's mind was set. Mireille sat on her bed watching. You have a plan, right? Tell me you have a plan. Jiwoo unwrapped her scarf and folded it carefully. On her neck and shoulder, an iridescent tattoo gleamed in the dim light. It showed a dragon coiled and waiting. I have a plan, Jiwoo said softly. The tattoo pulsed once like a heartbeat. 3 days. The galaxy would have to wait just 3 more days. The Grand Arena was the largest structure in the Academy. Built from materials that could withstand planet-cracking weapons, it served as the testing ground for final examinations and formal duels. Today, it would host something the Academy hadn't seen in decades. A duel between species. Jiwoo stood in the preparation chamber beneath the arena floor. Above her, she could hear the crowd gathering. Thousands of students, faculty members, even off-world observers watching through holographic projection. The betting pools gave her odds of 1,000 to 1 against survival. She wore simple combat gear, light armor over vital organs, flexible material that wouldn't restrict movement. And wrapped around her neck the silk scarf. The door opened. A maintenance worker entered, old and weathered, moving with a strange grace that didn't match his appearance. He looked at Jiwoo for a long moment. You know what you carry, he said. It wasn't a question. Jiwoo studied him, really looked. Beneath the disguise of age and humble work, something else stared back. Something ancient. Instructor Thane, I wondered when you'd reveal yourself. The old man smiled. Clever, yes, I was a knight once, many cycles ago, before I failed my charge. His expression grew distant. I've watched you these months. Watched you endure hatred with grace, power with restraint. You're ready. Ready to become something I never wanted to be. Ready to become what you always were. He moved to the door. The treaty is invoked, young knight. Let them remember why the dragons chose humanity. He left. Jiwoo was alone again. Above, Chancellor Vex sat in the observation platform reserved for Academy leadership. At 800 years old, he had thought himself beyond surprise. Today proved him wrong. The readings are confirmed? He asked his aide. Yes, Chancellor. Energy signatures matching ancient records. She's the real thing. Vex's clawed hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Impossible. The dragons vanished 50,000 years ago. The knights died with them. Apparently not, sir. In the arena, Una performed her warm-up routine. Rock and her other companions watched from the designated corner. She was confident. Why wouldn't she be? She'd trained her entire life for combat. She'd won 3 consecutive Academy championships. A small human girl posed no threat. The crowd cheered when she raised her fist. They wanted blood. They wanted confirmation of what they already believed, that humans didn't belong here. A door on the opposite side of the arena opened. Ji-woo walked out. The cheers died to scattered jeers and mocking laughter. She looked so small in the massive space, so fragile. The scarf around her neck seemed absurd, a child's security blanket. Instructor Valen stood at the center of the arena. His multifaceted eyes reflected the lights. This is a formal duel under Academy law. It ends by submission, incapacitation, or death. Medical teams stand ready. Both combatants have waived claims against the Academy for injuries sustained. He looked at each fighter in turn. Do you both confirm your participation? Confirmed, Una said. Confirmed, Ji-woo said quietly. Then begin. Una didn't waste time with words. She charged, her natural armor plating shifting to cover vital areas. Enhanced muscles propelled her forward at speeds that would shatter human bones. Her first strike could crack concrete. Ji-woo dodged, barely. The fist passed centimeters from her face. She felt the wind of its passage. The crowd roared. Bloodsport, entertainment, Una spun, her legs sweeping low. This time Ji-woo couldn't dodge completely. The hit caught her side, sending her rolling across the arena floor. Pain exploded through her ribs. Get up, soft skin, Una called. Show these people what humanity really is. Show them how you break. Ji-woo rose slowly. Blood ran from a cut on her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Another charge. Another brutal combination of strikes. Ji-woo blocked some, dodged others, but took damage with each exchange. Una was faster, stronger, built for this in ways humans weren't. In the observation platform, Hyun watched with growing horror. Stop this. She's going to die. The law is clear, Vex said, though his voice held an odd tension. Once begun, formal duels cannot be stopped except by the participants. On the arena floor, Una landed a solid hit to Ji-woo's stomach. The human girl doubled over, gasping. Another hit, this time to her shoulder. Ji-woo went down on one knee. This is where your species belongs, Una said, standing over her. On your knees. Beneath us. Acknowledge it, and I'll show mercy. Refuse, and I'll make this last for hours. Ji-woo looked up. Her eyes were clear despite the pain. You really believe that, don't you? That strength is all that matters. That power equals worth. It's the law of nature. The strong survive. The weak serve or die. Then let me show you, Ji-woo said softly, what real strength looks like. She reached for her scarf. Una grabbed it first. Enough of this cloth. Let's see what you're hiding, she pulled. The silk tore. The scarf fell away. On Ji-woo's neck and shoulder, exposed for the first time, an iridescent tattoo blazed with sudden light. The dragon design seemed to move, scales shifting, wings spreading. The colors hurt to look at directly, shades that shouldn't exist in normal space. The tattoo erupted with blue-white fire. Una stumbled backward, shielding her eyes. The crowd went silent. Not the silence of anticipation. The silence of primal fear. Ji-woo stood. The flames spread down her arms, but they didn't burn her. They wrapped around her like living armor. Her eyes blazed the same impossible color. Ancient symbols spiraled into existence around her. Text in a language older than most civilizations in the arena. The air itself bent around her. Reality struggling to contain what she was becoming. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made the arena walls vibrate. One voice was Ji-woo's. The other was something vast and ancient and patient. I am Ji-woo of Earth, she said. Daughter of Sol. Bearer of the celestial flame. She took a step forward. The concrete beneath her foot cracked, not from physical pressure but from raw power bleeding into the material world. I am the last Dragon Knight. The crowd erupted in chaos. Students fled their seats. Others sat frozen, unable to process what they were seeing. Faculty members shouted questions. Somewhere alarms began to sound. Chancellor Vex rose from his seat, his 8th century composure shattered. The treaty. By the void, the treaty is real. In the arena, Yuna tried to attack. She launched herself at Jiwoo with everything she had. Enhanced strength. Combat training. Decades of preparation. Jiwoo caught her fist in midair. The impact sent shockwaves rippling across the arena. But Jiwoo didn't move. Didn't flinch. She held Yuna's fist in one hand, and the Dalthine warrior might as well have been a child. "You wanted to see what I was hiding," Jiwoo said. The dragon tattoo expanded, covering more of her body. Spectral scales formed over her skin. Here it is. This is what the dragons left behind. Their power, their legacy. Given to a species you call weak. She released Yuna's fist and moved. Not fast by galactic standards, but with precision that made speed irrelevant. Every attack Yuna threw was countered before it could complete. Every defensive move was anticipated and bypassed. Jiwoo wasn't fighting anymore. She was teaching a lesson. 50,000 years ago, she said, dodging a desperate strike. The dragons looked across the galaxy. They saw powerful species, advanced civilizations, beings of incredible might. She caught another attack, redirected it harmlessly, and they chose humanity. Do you know why? No, Yuna gasped, still trying to fight, still refusing to quit. Because we endure. Jiwoo's hand shot out, pinning Yuna against the arena wall. The dragon tattoo formed a spectral claw that held the Dalthine immobile. Because we face a hostile universe and survive anyway. Because when we fall, we get back up. Not because we're strong, but because we refuse to stay down. The flames around Jiwoo's arms pulsed brighter. The dragons didn't want warriors. They wanted survivors. Beings who understood struggle. Who could carry their legacy not with arrogance, but with humility earned through suffering. She released Yuna, who slumped to the ground. The fight was over. Jiwoo turned to face the crowd. Thousands of aliens stared back. Fear, awe, confusion. She let them see, let them understand what humanity really was. I am one of 12, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the arena. One knight for every human accepted to this academy this cycle. We are scattered across the galaxy, learning, growing, watching. She looked at Chancellor Vex. The treaty was never a myth. The dragons never abandoned this galaxy. They simply waited for humanity to reach the stars on our own terms. And now we're here. Instructor Thane appeared at the arena floor, his disguise fallen away. Ancient armor covered his body. He bowed to Jiwoo. The treaty is invoked. Any who threaten the chosen of the dragons threaten the dragons themselves. Vex descended to the arena floor, moving with the careful grace of someone approaching a live bomb. Why now? Why reveal this now? Jiwoo's flames dimmed slightly. Her voice became more human. Because I wanted to see if anyone would defend us without knowing. If anyone would judge us by our character instead of our connections. She looked around the arena, at the faces, the species, the civilizations. No one did. Not one. The sadness in her voice cut deeper than any weapon. So now you know, she continued. Humanity isn't defenseless. We're not weak. We're guarded by powers that predate most of your empires. But more than that, the flames vanished. The tattoo faded back to dormant ink. The footage spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within 3 hours, every major civilization had seen it. The small human girl. The dragon tattoo blazing with ancient power. The impossible strength. By nightfall, the entire known galaxy was talking about one thing. Humanity was not what they thought. Jiwoo sat alone in the observation deck, watching stars drift past. Her scarf, hastily repaired with basic stitching, lay across her lap. The tattoo on her neck was visible now. No point hiding it anymore. The door opened. She didn't turn. She knew who it would be. Hyun, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. Her brother sat beside her. He looked older somehow, as if the last few hours had aged him years. How long have you had it? The tattoo. The power. 3 years. I was 16, hiking in the mountains back home. I went off trail, found a cave I'd never seen before. Inside there was light. And a voice. Jiwoo touched the dragon's head on her shoulder. It said, "You carry our legacy now. Learn, grow, and when the time comes, remind them why we chose your kind." 3 years. You've been hiding this for 3 years. I had to. The dragons made it clear. The power was for protection, not conquest. Not showing off. I was supposed to grow into it naturally. Learn to be human first before being something more. Hyun laughed, but there was no humor in it. Human. Jiwoo, you just threw a Dalthine warrior around like a toy. How is that human? Because I didn't want to do it. Jiwoo's voice cracked. I came here to learn. To make friends. To prove that my people could contribute to galactic society. I didn't want to be special. I wanted to belong. And now everyone knows. And I'll never just be Jiwoo again. I'll always be the Dragon Knight. The weapon. The threat. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Hyun put his arm around her shoulders. You're still my little sister. Power or not, dragons or not, you're still the girl who used to steal my desserts and leave me notes blaming the cat. Jiwoo managed a small laugh. We didn't have a cat. Exactly. Worst criminal mind ever. He squeezed her shoulder. Whatever happens next, we face it together, okay? Before she could answer, the door opened again. This time it was Chancellor Vex, followed by Instructor Thane and 2 other faculty members. Vex looked like he'd aged a century in the past few hours. Jiwoo, he said formally, we need to discuss the treaty and what your revelation means for the Academy. They moved to a private conference room. Vex called up holographic displays showing ancient documents, text in dozens of languages, some dead for millennia. The treaty was signed 51,000 years ago, Vex explained. The dragons, at the height of their power, made an agreement with the Council of Civilizations. They would cease direct intervention in galactic affairs. In exchange, they would choose one species as their inheritors. If that species was ever threatened with extinction or systematic oppression, the dragons' power would manifest to protect them. But the dragons vanished, Hyun said. Their physical forms did, but their essence, their power remained, bound to the species they chose. Vex looked at Jiwoo. Humanity, a species that didn't even exist when the treaty was signed. The dragons looked forward in time and chose based on potential, not present capability. Instructor Thane stepped forward. I was a knight of the Varelian civilization. The dragons chose my people 15,000 years ago. For 8,000 years, we bore their power. Then we grew arrogant. We used the power to conquer, not protect. The dragons withdrew their blessing and the power faded. Why are you still alive? Jiwoo asked. The tattoo grants extended life. I've lived 3,000 years since my people lost the dragon's favor. 3,000 years of watching civilizations rise and fall, always searching for the next chosen. He knelt before Jiwoo. I never thought I'd see another night. When you arrived at the academy, I felt the power in you. Dormant but unmistakable. I've been watching, waiting to see if humanity would prove worthy. And? Jiwoo asked quietly. You endured hatred with grace. You could have revealed your power at any time, ended the persecution instantly. But you didn't. You chose to suffer rather than abuse what you carried. Thane's old eyes shone with emotion. Yes, humanity is worthy. Perhaps more than any species before. Vex brought up another display. The problem is your revelation has political consequences. Every civilization in the galaxy now knows that humanity is protected by ancient powers. Some will respect that. Others will fear it. And fear makes beings dangerous. As if summoning by his words, an alert chimed. Vex's expression darkened. The Dalthine hegemony has filed a formal protest. Sovereign Rel, Yuna's father, is demanding justice for what he calls excessive force and public humiliation of a Dalthine citizen. He's coming here, Thane said, reading another display. His flagship will arrive within 6 hours. Jiwoo stood. Then I'll meet with him. This is my responsibility. Absolutely not, Hyun protested. Jiwoo, he could have you killed. He could try, she said softly. But he won't, because now he knows what would happen if he did. The treaty protects all humanity, not just the knights. If a galactic power attacks us, all 12 knights respond. And trust me, Hyun, 12 is more than enough. The meeting room doors opened. 11 students filed in. Jiwoo recognized some from classes. Do-hyun, a quiet biology major. Mirai, her roommate. Others she'd seen around campus but never really noticed. They all bore tattoos. Dragons in different styles, different positions, but all glowing with the same ancient fire. We heard what happened, Mirai said. She pulled down her collar, revealing a dragon wrapped around her collarbone. Guess we're not hiding anymore, huh? I'm sorry, Jiwoo said. I ended your anonymity because I couldn't maintain mine. Do-hyun shook his head. You ended it because you were forced to. There's a difference. Besides, hiding was always temporary. The dragons chose us for a reason. Maybe it's time the galaxy understood that reason. Over the next few hours, the 12 knights shared their stories. Each one had received their tattoo under different circumstances. A moment of crisis, a test of character, a choice that revealed their worth. None had wanted the power. All had accepted the responsibility. We're not warriors, one knight said. Her name was Sora, a medical student. I can barely throw a punch. But the dragon inside me, it knows how. When I need it, the knowledge is there. Same, added another. I'm an artist, not a fighter. But the power adapts to need. That's what makes it different from regular strength. It's not about being the biggest or fastest. It's about being there when it counts. 6 hours later, Sovereign Rel's flagship appeared in orbit. The massive warship dwarfed the Academy station. A clear message of power and intimidation. Chancellor Vex met the Sovereign in the Grand Council chamber, the same arena where the duel had taken place, but now reconfigured for diplomacy. Rel was larger than his daughter, his armor plating darker and covered in marks of rank and battle scars. Where is the human who attacked my child? He demanded. Your child issued a formal challenge, Vex replied calmly. The human accepted under Academy law. The duel was legal. She used forbidden powers, ancient weapons. This was assault, not combat. The power is hers by right of the dragon's choosing. The treaty? I spit on your treaty. Rel's voice shook the chamber. The Dalthine hegemony does not bow to myths and legends. Produce the human, or this academy will learn what real power looks like. The doors opened. Jiwoo walked in, flanked by the other 11 knights. They wore simple academy uniforms, but their tattoos were visible. 12 dragons. 12 ancient powers. Together in one room, Rel took an involuntary step back. Sovereign Rel, Jiwoo said formally. I am Jiwoo, the knight who defeated your daughter. I am here to answer for my actions. You humiliated her, shamed our family. I defended myself in a legal duel that she initiated. Your daughter wanted to prove human weakness. Instead, she proved human strength. That's not shame. That's education. Rel's armored hand moved to his weapon. You dare. All 12 knights' tattoos flared simultaneously. The temperature in the room dropped. Reality itself seemed to flex, as if 12 immense presences had suddenly focused their attention on one spot. Choose carefully, Do-hyun said quietly. We don't want conflict. But if you harm any human, not just us knights, the treaty activates. And trust me, Sovereign, you don't want that. Is that a threat? It's a fact, Jiwoo replied. The dragons chose humanity knowing we'd be small. Weak by galactic standards, vulnerable. They chose us anyway. Why? Because they knew we'd need protection, and they loved us enough to provide it, even after they left. She stepped forward. Your daughter isn't injured. She's not dead. She's simply been taught a lesson that your entire civilization seems to have forgotten. Might doesn't make right. Strength without wisdom is just violence, and violence eventually meets something stronger. Rel stared at the 12 humans, each one small by Dalthine standards, but together they radiated power that made his warrior instincts scream danger. You cannot hide behind the dragons forever, he said finally. We're not hiding, Jiwoo replied. We're standing right here, visible, present, and yes, protected. Because the galaxy tried to kill us before we could prove ourselves. The dragons gave us the chance to grow. We're not wasting it. The Sovereign turned to leave, then paused. This isn't over. Yes, Jiwoo said softly. 3 weeks after the duel, the galaxy was still adjusting. Human stock on every major exchange had skyrocketed. Diplomatic missions from dozens of civilizations arrived at Earth daily. Species that had rejected humanity's applications for trade agreements now begged for meetings. The political landscape had shifted overnight. Jiwoo tried to ignore it all. She attended her classes, studied in the library, trained in the combat arena. The routine helped maintain normalcy, even though nothing about her life was normal anymore. The stares had changed. Before, students looked at her with contempt or dismissal. Now they watched with fear and calculation. She wasn't sure which was worse. You've got another interview request, Mireille said, scrolling through her datapad at breakfast. This one's from the Galactic News Network. They're offering ridiculous money for an exclusive. Decline it, Jiwoo said, pushing food around her plate. Like all the others. You know you'll have to talk eventually. The galaxy wants answers. The galaxy can wait. Taemin approached their table hesitantly. He'd barely spoken to Jiwoo since the revelation. Hi, can I sit? Jiwoo gestured to the empty chair. Of course. You don't need to ask. I wasn't sure. I mean, he struggled for words. You're a dragon knight? That's kind of intimidating. I'm the same person I was before. The tattoo doesn't change who I am, doesn't it though? Taemin met her eyes. You've been carrying this power for 3 years. Living a lie. How do I know the Jiwoo I befriended was even real? The question hurt more than Jiwoo expected. That's fair. I did lie. Or at least I didn't tell the truth. But everything else was real. My struggles in class. My frustration with the prejudice. My desire to belong. Those weren't fake. Taemin was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled slightly. Are we still friends? Relief flooded through Jiwoo. Of course, always. Good. Because I need help with the ancient history exam, and you're the only person I know who actually reads the optional material. They laughed. For a moment, things felt almost normal. Later that day, Jiwoo was summoned to Chancellor Vex's office. She expected another political briefing. Instead, she found a human woman waiting there. Middle-aged, sharp-eyed, wearing diplomatic credentials. Ambassador Kara, the woman introduced herself. Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. I arrived yesterday to handle the fallout from your little display. I didn't have much choice, Jiwoo said. I know. I've reviewed the recordings. Yuna pushed you into it. Still, you've created a diplomatic nightmare. Every major power is reassessing their position on humanity. Some see us as potential allies, others as threats. Both views are dangerous. Vex pulled up star charts showing political boundaries. Several civilizations have already begun military buildups near human space. Not to attack necessarily, but as insurance. They're afraid. Afraid of 12 people? Jiwoo asked. Afraid of what those 12 people represent, Kara replied. Ancient power, unknown capabilities, and the precedent that a weak species can suddenly become a major player. It threatens the established order. Good, Jiwoo said. The word surprised even her. Maybe the established order needs threatening. I spent months here being treated like garbage because humanity wasn't advanced enough. Because we're physically weaker. Because we got to space later than others. None of those things should determine a species' worth. Idealism is admirable, Kara said. But idealism doesn't stop wars. We need practical solutions. Then here's one. Humanity doesn't change its stance. We remain open to diplomacy. We continue building peaceful relationships. But we make it clear that we won't tolerate oppression or genocide. The Knights exist to protect, not to conquer. That's the message. Vex considered this. It could work. If you can prove it through actions. Words mean little in galactic politics. Then give us the chance to prove it. Over the following weeks, opportunities arose. A small colony of Terranian refugees arrived at the academy, fleeing a civil war. They needed medical supplies and shelter. Jiwoo and the other Knights organized relief efforts, working alongside non-human students. No power, no force, just basic humanitarian aid. The galaxy watched. When pirates attacked a trade convoy near the academy, the Knights responded. But instead of destroying the pirate ships, they disabled weapon systems and helped capture the crews alive. They used minimal force, prioritizing life even when dealing with enemies. The galaxy watched. A plague broke out on a nearby station. Sora, the medical knight, went there personally. She worked for 72 hours straight, using her enhanced stamina not to fight but to save lives, human and alien alike. The galaxy watched. Slowly, the narrative began to shift. Humanity wasn't seen as a threat. They were seen as guardians. Powerful, yes, but restrained, compassionate, different from every other species that had held power. In the academy cafeteria, Jiwoo noticed the changes. Students still gave her space, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was respect. Some even approached with genuine questions about Earth, about humanity. About the dragons, Yunbi was one of the first. The crystalline Silthine sat across from Jiwoo one day without asking. I owe you an apology. A real one. I watched you suffer for weeks and did nothing beyond token words. That was cowardice. You're apologizing now, Jiwoo said. That takes courage, and does it? Or am I just covering my position now that you've proven powerful? Yunbi's crystalline form chimed softly. I've been thinking about that. About why I stayed silent. I told myself it wasn't my fight. That getting involved would only make things worse. But the truth is, I was afraid of social consequences. Most people are, but some aren't. You weren't. You stood your ground even when it would have been easier to leave. Imbi leaned forward. I want to learn from that. So I'm starting a student group, Species Against Oppression, a coalition dedicated to calling out prejudice when we see it, not waiting for power to justify basic decency. Jiwoo smiled. That sounds wonderful. How can I help? Just be a member. Not as a dragon knight, as Jiwoo. Because if we only do the right thing when powerful people lead us, we'll never truly change. The group grew quickly. Within weeks, dozens of students joined. They created guidelines for inclusivity, called out discriminatory behavior, supported students from marginalized species. It wasn't perfect. Old prejudices died hard. But it was progress. Yuna approached Jiwoo in the training arena one day. The Dolphine looked different, quieter, less arrogant. I've been assigned to therapy, she said without preamble. Academy requirement after the duel. My counselor says I have deep-seated insecurity manifesting as aggression toward perceived threats. Apparently that's bad. It's a start, Jiwoo said carefully. I hated you. Did you know that? From the moment you arrived. Because you were everything I feared. Weak but determined. Small but unbreakable. You represented the idea that all my advantages, my strength, my family name, my training, might not actually matter. They do matter. Just not in the way you thought. Yuna was quiet for a moment. I can't take back what I did. The things I said. The pain I caused. But I want you to know, I'm trying to be better. My father's furious with me, says I brought shame to our family, but my therapist says maybe shame is what I needed. Growth often comes from uncomfortable places. Yeah. Yuna turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth. You're a better fighter than me. Power aside, you have discipline I lack. If you ever want to train together as equals, I'd be honored. After she left, Mirai appeared from the observation area. Did that just happen? Did Yuna actually apologize? People can change, Jiwoo said. If they want to. If they're willing to do the work. Speaking of change, Mirai pulled up her datapad. The diplomatic situation has stabilized. Ambassador Kara sent a message. Earth's been granted full voting rights in the Galactic Council. We're not junior members anymore. We have an actual voice. Because of the Knights? Partially. But also because of what we've done since. Humanity proved we could handle power responsibly. That's rarer than you'd think. That evening, all 12 Knights gathered in a private room. They met regularly now, sharing experiences and supporting each other. The burden of being Dragon Knights was heavy. Having others who understood helped. I got my first marriage proposal today, Do-hyun said, laughing. From a princess of the Helican dynasty. Apparently, allying with a Dragon Knight is politically advantageous. I've got 6 proposals, another knight groaned. It's exhausting. I just want to study engineering, not manage interspecies politics. This is our life now, Jiwoo said. We can't go back to being unknown. But we can control how we use our visibility. We can be examples of what humanity should be. Not conquerors. Not victims. Just people trying to do good in a complicated galaxy. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, Mirai quoted. We don't wear crowns, Jiwoo replied. We wear scars and hope. That's enough. Months passed. Life at the academy settled into a new rhythm. Jiwoo made real friends. Species that had ignored humanity now sought them out. Study groups became diverse. The cafeteria lost its strict species segregation. Change came slowly but surely. One night, Jiwoo stood in the observation deck again. The same place where she'd stood after the duel, questioning everything. Hyun found her there, just like before. Thinking? He asked.